Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I am your president, Wilda Ream. As you know, we start off our meetings by reciting the four-way test. Please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today, our opening song, America the Beautiful, and the pledge will be led by Jack Dyson, followed by the invocation by Steve Feldman and visitor introductions by Walt Tilley.
Please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a word of prayer. O Lord of the harvest, we are grateful for the fall harvest of our food and the health and joy that it brings. Help us to remember all those who labor to bring our food to us, from the planting of the seeds to the final preparation in the kitchen. We also remember especially those who bring fresh food to us in support of service to children with many and varied special needs. Continue to inspire all of the workers at Leg Up Farm as they care for the most needful of our children in creative and invigorating ways. Guide the leaders of this Rotary Club so that our service will be a blessing to our community and to our world. Help each Rotarian live up to the ideals of service and truthfulness that we happily preach in this room and strive to put into practice outside these walls. And may your love be shown through our hearts and minds and then out to all of your people. Amen.
Good afternoon. I'm Walt Tilley. It is my privilege to introduce our guests this afternoon. If you are a guest, when I call your name, please stand so we can see who you are, and then remain standing because President Wilda is going to come back to the podium to greet you. Guests of youth leadership include Haley Hunter, Susan Hunter, Christian Hunter, and Kathy Hand. Jasmine Malagon is a guest of past President Jackie Summers. Maura Musselman is a guest of our speaker. Ethan Weinstein is a guest of Elliot Weinstein. Lee Smotkin is a gift of Steve Whiteley. Laura Villafana is a guest of Sarah Bradley. Angela Kintner is a guest of Thomas Caltagirone. Tracy Leitzel is a guest of Bill Hunter. Carlene Faribaugh is a guest of Sam Willman. Barbara Warren is a guest of Fran Hoover. Nicole Schaefer, a guest of Martine Federico, and David Bernhardt, a guest of Andrew Copeland. President Wilda.
Visitors, we're so glad to have you here with us today. Whether this is your first visit or you're back again, it's always a pleasure to have new faces in the room. Rotary is about connection, service, and making a difference, and we're excited to share that spirit with you. We hope you feel welcome and inspired during your time with us today. And if what you see here today resonates with you, and we would love to have you consider becoming part of our Rotary family. Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. You may be seated. And now for some announcements. For the second week in a row, I get to share some photos from our Rotarians on the road. This week, Rotarian Jack Dyson shared these photos of his recent mission trip to South Africa, where his organization took a group of girls ages K to 5, or grades K to 5, to this camp owned by the Rotary of Cape Town. Michael Haiti shared photos from Greensboro, North Carolina, of a beautiful carousel at the Zoo and Science Center, which was a community service project of the Greensboro, North Carolina Rotary Club. And then on Saturday, I'm a little closer to home, on Saturday, October 4th, members of the PPE committee, along with members of the Eastern York, which is Wrightsville Rotary Club, and the York East Rotary Club, planted 12 trees at Native Lands Park in Eastern York County. The park is 190 acres of meadowland, which is largely devoid of trees. It is hoped that these trees will bring shade to hikers, habitat for more birds and animals, and improve the environment. And congratulations to our hometown team and Rotarian Ben Shipley on the York Revolution's back-to-back Atlantic League championships. If you were able to attend any of those games, I know the one that I attended was a nail biter and very exciting, but congratulations to our team. The Rotary Club of York Board of Directors will meet tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock on Zoom. The IDEA Committee will meet on October 15th at 10:30 a.m. here at the Country Club at the Terrace Room. And at this point, I'd like to invite Chair Joe Stein to the podium for announcement from the PPE Committee.
Thank you, President Wilda. As you mentioned, I'm Joe Stein. I'm the chair of Preserve Planet Earth. Spoken with you before, asking to help us plant trees in downtown York. We do a lot more than that, but that has really been a feather in our cap over the years as we near 1,000 trees planted in downtown York. So thank you to all who have helped in the past. This coming October, 2 weeks, October 18th, we are going to do something historic. The work is already in progress. It's been in the works for well over a year now. And if you've been in downtown, you've seen that the old trees have been removed. The beautiful architecture has been enlightened. You can see it. You can appreciate the work, the craftsmanship that has gone into our streetscape over the decades and centuries in downtown York. And we, on October 18th, are going to plant new trees. Approximately 60 trees. That prep work is ongoing. We've got great partners helping us out, prepping that to make this as easy as possible. It's going to be a great event. It's a historic event. Thank you to everybody who has signed up. We're still looking for more volunteers to help. Registration is open only through the end of this week. So Friday evening, the registration link will close. You can find that on Club Runner on the website. You can go to calendar. You can go to Saturday, October 18th. There's a link. You click on it, you register. If you want to bring your family and friends, just note however many people you have there so that we can begin to work the logistics. All skill sets are available. If you want to come and you want to work a registration table, you can do that. You can help plant. There's fresh soil. We're going to be planting in nice, soft soil. We're not digging out rocks and roots. All that's taken care of. We need a cleanup crew coming behind with brooms, pushing dirt back in, mulching, watering at the end of the day. We're also looking for 2 specific users to help us out. Anybody that would be willing to take pictures. We're looking to really publicize this through our social media and other publications that we can. We expect to have a lot of press coverage there, but we want to document this really well through our Rotary channels as well. So if you're a hobbyist or you want to come out and take pictures, feel free to email me. And if you have a pilot's license for a drone, we'd love to get some aerial pictures from drone footage as well. So again, October 18th, registration is going to start at 7:30. We're going to begin planting at 8. We should be done mid-morning. Please sign up and register. If you have any questions, reach out to me. This is truly a historic moment. It separates ourselves from a lot of the other planning projects we've done in that this is a huge recognition project for the Rotary Club of York It expands upon our Continental Square planting. And we just really want to keep this momentum going with as many of you all as possible. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joe. And that will be a huge project. I know living downtown and working downtown, I've heard a lot of opinions about the trees, lack of trees, the trees going back up. But it certainly has given everyone, I think, that has come downtown a different perspective of our city. And as Joe said, a reminder of the beautiful architecture that we have in our downtown. So I'm excited to see the trees come up. I know come summer, everyone will want to have the trees back up for a little bit of shade. But at this time, I invite Reed Gunderson to the podium for our Student of the Month.
All right, Rotarians, please join me in recognizing Haley Hunter Jr. from York Catholic as our first Student of the Month honoree this school year. Haley's parents, Susan and Christian, are here. And if you think you're busy, wait till you hear what she's involved with. Plays soccer, is in the marching band, music ensemble, woodwind ensemble, paint manager for the stage crew, diversity club, Girl Scouts of America, and Future Leaders of York. Anything else? All right. In her spare time, she enjoys writing, reading, and art. She recently was the runner-up for York Catholic's Speech Festival and plans to attend college as an English major, then go to law school to become an attorney, assuming that her dreams of making a living writing novels falls through. A little bit of irony. Guy named Reed introduced a young girl who wants to be a writer. All right, without that, Haley Hunter.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Haley Hunter, and I'm a junior at York Catholic High School. There, I participate in activities that I love, such as marching band, stage crew, and soccer. The band is like my family. Stage crew allows me to stay artistic even when I'm busy, and soccer keeps me active. These are my core activities that really feed my soul. I've also been a Girl Scout for over 10 years, and am currently working on my Gold Award, which will be catered towards helping as many kids as possible have access to musical instruments. With my troop, I've traveled to England, France, and as of this upcoming summer, Italy, which I am very excited for. In terms of service, I often pick up service opportunities at my church, which is First Presbyterian Church of York, and I even got to go on a mission trip to Louisiana 2 summers ago. In my free time, I love to write and have been working on my first novel over the past few years. My future plans are to attend college to study English and creative writing, and then possibly furthering my education at law school. When people ask me what I plan to do with my future, I often tell them that I would like to be a lawyer, but my real goal is to become a successful published author, making a living doing what I love and making other people happy at the same time. Thank you.
Wow. What an honor it is to be named Student of the Month by your school. We know how much hard work goes into earning this recognition, and showing this level of leadership at such a young age is truly remarkable. The world desperately needs your continued service and leadership. So keep serving your fellow students, your family, and your community. Our club is incredibly proud of you and wishes you the best in everything that you do. And I look forward to seeing you at Fly Orientation later this month. So at this time, I would invite President-elect Doug Berman to introduce our speakers for the day.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the round of applause there. I would like walk-up music. What happened to that? I thought we did that the other week, but that's right. So it is my privilege today to introduce our speakers from Leg Up Farm. I think as some of you know, I've served on the Leg Up Farm board now for, this is my 23rd year. I'll be rolling off at the end of December. Thankfully, we have a 23-year term limit apparently, but I've had the privilege of being the board chair on 2 different stints for a total of 10 years. So great organization, really excited to have our speakers here today. I'm going to introduce both of them. I think they're going to kind of take turns with the presentation. Jen Hitz is the president, CEO of Leg Up Farm, a pediatric therapy center for children with special needs. She has been with the organization now for 13 years and in the not-for-profit industry for more than 25 years. Prior to assuming the role of president and CEO, Jen oversaw Leg Up Farm's development department, including grant writing, fundraising events, and the stewardship of individual and corporate donors. Jen's nonprofit career began in State College, working in a residential setting with the dependent, delinquent, and homeless runaway children and youth. She is a 1999 graduate of the Pennsylvania State University with a BS in Human Development and Family Studies. She's also a 2017 graduate of Mentorship York. I think she's trying to kiss up to Wilda with that shameless plug. And a 2023 graduate of the York Federal Fellows Program. In addition, in terms of her community and volunteering efforts, she's involved with the Children's Home of York, Junior League of York, Women United of the York County United Way, and the York County Leave a Legacy Society. Jen is excited to share the origins of Leg Up Farm, as well as the current vision for the organization. And she's also excited to present today with Dan Stump, manager of Leg Up Farmers Market, for the first time as they discuss the synergies and differences of these 2 organizations. And so with that, I'm going to also introduce Dan Stump right away. Dan's with Leg Up Farmers Market, York's healthiest grocery store, featuring local, organic, and sustainable groceries, including a vibrant selection of local and organic produce, locally sourced meats, local grocery products, and a huge variety of specialty foods. The market's primary goal is to support Leg Up Farm. Dan has been with the market since its opening, growing with the organization until he became the manager in 2019. He loves working towards the big mission of supporting Leg Up Farm and also finds great joy in helping their dozens of local farmers and artisans grow. Dan is a native of York, graduated from Central York High School, and graduated from Penn State with a degree in business marketing. Please, I'd like to have Jen and Dan come forward.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you for having me here today. Dan and I are really excited. When you have 2 entities that have almost identical names, it becomes very fun to make sure people understand what your entity is and what it provides. So at a very low bar, Dan and I joked that if we save one person from walking into Leg Up Farm looking for peanut butter, and we save another person from walking into Leg Up Farmers Market looking for a horse, then we may have, at a very low bar, done our job today. But hopefully you will walk away with a tad bit more knowledge and perspective about what we do, our shared history, our shared goal, but also how we have differences in our history and our goal as well, because we are different, even though we sound very similar. So as Doug said, my name is Jen Hitz. I'm the president and CEO of Leg Up Farm, which is the pediatric therapy center. Horses, not peanut butter. And this is a picture of the front of Leg Up Farm, which is located in Mount Wolf, Pennsylvania. I imagine a lot of you have probably been to one entity or the other. So I always like to just know who's in the crowd. Anyone who has been to Leg Up Farm, if you could please raise your hand. Very friendly crowd today. I like that. So this is wonderful. I'm glad you guys are here to learn a little bit more about what we do. I wanted to start with just a few stats as some food for thought before we get into what Leg Up Farm is and what we provide to the community. York County has a little over 400,000 individuals. About a quarter of those individuals are children. 15% of all children do require special education or related services. So within our community, that means there's nearly 17,000 children who require special assistance at school or outside of school with their education and development. Recently this year, the CDC updated stats for the number of children who are diagnosed with autism. It is now 1 in 31 children will receive a diagnosis of autism. That equates to a little over 3,600 kids in York County. 2.4% of kids in our community that are 6 or under are underinsured or uninsured, I should say. That equates to over 600 kids, and that's just kids that are under the age of 6. So when we are thinking about kids and the role that Leg Up Farm plays in our community, there are literally thousands and thousands of children who do require special education services and who require the therapeutic services in a manner that might not be what they can get elsewhere, because we don't limit the number of Medicaid clients we accept. And we also offer sliding scale payment arrangements and scholarships. So making sure that services that are needed are truly accessible. Our history. A lot of you probably know this guy up here. Good looking guy. That's Louis Castriata. Louis is our founder. Back in 1997, Louis and his wife Lori wanted to create a therapeutic riding program for children with special needs. Ironically, about 6 months after they really started to put that vision to paper, they had a little girl, Brooke, who is now almost 30. But she was born with something called mitochondrial disease that causes both cognitive and physical impairments. Later in her life, they also found that she was on the autism spectrum. So she has a pretty heavily involved level of need and will for the rest of her life. And being thrown into the world of being parents of a special needs child, they just realized how spread out and unintegrated services can be for families. So they were having to take Brooke one place for physical therapy, another place for speech therapy, yet another place for occupational therapy, and sometimes not even in York County anymore. So they were going down to Kennedy Krieger in Maryland, up to Hershey, over to CHOP in Philadelphia. And what they learned in that journey is the individuals that were helping Brooke and their family on their path didn't always know one another. And even if they did, they weren't communicating. And so things with Brooke's case were being duplicated, they were being missed, and they thought, gosh, there has to be a better way to do this than spreading a family out so thin in a way that's not super efficient or effective. So it was at that point that they decided to blow the top off their vision and create the ultimate therapy center for children with special needs. So the idea was to get all the core therapies a child may need beneath one roof, with clinicians who, this is a startling thought, know one another, talk to each other, care plan with each other, so that they are actually on the same path. They aren't duplicating services. They aren't working against one another, but they're providing services in a manner which is effective and it is efficient. And so that is the inspiration. Brooke actually used to come to Leg Up Farm as a student. She still comes for therapeutic riding, and she gets very excited if you're ever at Leg Up Farm and you see her and you tell her that, oh my gosh, I heard you're the inspiration behind Leg Up Farm. You will not see a bigger smile than you'll get from this girl right here. The extended value of Leg Up Farm. So I kind of alluded to this a little bit already, but we do not cap the number of Medicaid clients we accept. I always say this is probably the most boring part of why Leg Up Farm is important that I'll explain, but it's also why it's most important. So just to give you an example, at Leg Up Farm, we get $21.70 for a speech therapy session. That doesn't even pay my clinicians' time. I have master's, doctorate level clinicians, doesn't pay their time, doesn't pay their benefits, certainly doesn't pay to have a roof, lights, assessment, equipment that a child needs for a proper speech therapy session. So what that means is that we have to fundraise a decent part of what we do at Leg Up Farm. It also means that a lot of other providers will typically cap the number of Medicaid clients they accept because it's a really difficult financial model to sustain over time. And so on the journey that they were on with Brooke and sitting in waiting room after waiting room, they were meeting families that were reliant on Medicaid to get the therapies that they needed. Most children with a special need are eligible for Medicaid, either as a primary or a secondary insurance provider. If you've ever had to get therapy yourself, you know sometimes you get maxed out, right? You're allowed to have 10 physical therapy sessions a year. After that, you're kind of on your own. Hopefully you did good in those therapy sessions and picked up your at-home exercises really well. Well, with kids, that's a little harder. So when you run out of those therapy sessions and you need to rely on Medicaid to get them, that barrier becomes pretty high. And what they learned from these other families is that they were on waiting lists that were 3 years in length or longer to get treatment. I don't know how many of you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews in the room. I have a daughter who's 13. I think about from the time she was 3 to 6. So why did I pick those ages? At 3, early intervention, Head Start type things stop, right? 6 is about the time things start picking up once they get back in school. But what happens between 3 and 6? They are moving, they are speaking. It's probably the most pivotal developmental years in a child's life. And if they already have barriers or challenges to reaching those developmental needs, and there is no one there to help them, they almost get set so far back that for some of our kids, it's impossible to catch up to their true potential. And so by having Leg Up Farm available to families, hopefully they won't realize that gap. They have something they can start even earlier and follow them even further along in their journey. And for our equine services, no insurance covers those. So those are all out-of-pocket expenses our families have to pay. We offer it at a heavily subsidized rate. And we also do sliding scale payment arrangements and scholarships on top of that so that our services are truly accessible to any child that may need them. Couple other key stats: about 90% of our kids served do live in York County. About 80% are accessing services either through Medicaid and or financial assistance provided by our organization. These are our core services. So we offer occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy. Those are 100% for children. We say now that we are predominantly a pediatric therapy organization. The truth is we've also moved into providing services to adults who have special needs or who are experiencing unique challenges. And so those come into play with the bottom 3 bullets that you see there. We do see both children and adults through our mental health services, nutrition counseling, and therapeutic horseback riding. We also have some really unique specialized services that a lot of people don't know about, and I think are probably one of the more important things to emphasize with you here today. So we offer feeding services, which you may say, what in the world is that? That is where we have speech therapists and occupational therapists who have gone on to receive specialized certification to become feeding specialists. And so this comes into play with typically our youngest clients. The youngest client we ever had was 9 days old, and they were having struggles with swallowing. And so failure to thrive type issues, right? So speech therapists are trained in all the muscles, movement of your mouth. And so it is a natural transition for them to understand how those same muscles and movements help you to swallow and to eat. And so they were able to actually help a child by manually stimulating the things they need to learn to be able to survive at a very, very basic level. Our occupational therapists are masters in sensory issues. And so there are a lot of kids who struggle with foods that are certain colors, certain textures, things along those lines, and they will help them with those as well. We actually have the only 2 pediatric feeding specialists in the entire county, which is something we would love to see expanded at Leg Up Farm. We offer a very robust summer camp. So we have 7 weeks of summer camp at Leg Up Farm for kids with special needs. This is a godsend for our kiddos and our families because a lot of them would not be able to experience a summer camp without Leg Up Farm. We have staff, counselors, an environment that is obviously inclusive, accessible, and prepared to meet them at any level that they need in order to be able to participate. And the 2 probably more unique areas that I wanted to focus on today that I think are really special are equine assisted learning and equine assisted psychotherapy. So equine assisted learning, equine horses, they actually help our kids learn how to read and to do math. So if you know of any kids in your life that really struggle with sitting at a desk in a traditional setting, and they just want to be active and moving and doing, this is the perfect thing for them because they actually walk through obstacles with their horses, and at each obstacle or different space or station that they stop, they are learning something to do with reading or with math. And so it helps them to meet them where they want to be with their activity, but also helps them cognitively with the skills they need to be learning. And equine-assisted psychotherapy. This is also really interesting. We have several of our therapeutic riding instructors who have gone on and received specialized certification with our mental health therapist to do this program. And so it is counseling with horses. If you have someone that traditional talk therapy just does not work, this gives them the opportunity to be in an experiential setting, moving around and learning through doing and real-time feedback. And so it has been proven to be super successful with veterans, first responders, trauma survivors, people that have experienced PTSD, that have a lot of trust, relationship issues. And it's just really hard for them to sit down across from an adult that's just going to sit there and take notes and listen and share what they've been going through. And so it started with veterans and has quickly taken on a life of its own. We served about 50 individuals through that program last year. We are already up to over 60 individuals individually who have received services through equine-assisted psychotherapy. And unfortunately, with the recent traumas in our community that our first responders have been experiencing, a lot of the increase in those numbers is a direct correlation to that. So just to give you guys an example, the day that the shooting happened in Southern York, within an hour of that happening, so within an hour of most people not even knowing what was going on, we received a call from the head of 911 dispatch center asking if they could bring their dispatchers to Leg Up Farm that evening for an emergency session. What they shared is that those same dispatchers were the dispatchers that were on the phone when the UPMC shooting occurred, and they were not handling it very well. So being able to be in a different market and being able to help people in a different way while still maintaining the original vision of Leg Up Farm has been something truly rewarding as a leader. Uh-oh. Oh. Okay. All right. So annually, we do serve about 500 different individuals. We provide over 14,000 therapy appointments. And the one statistic that really, really makes me happy is that 99% of our families and clients self-report experiencing progress toward or completion of their therapy goals. I also had to selfishly put in a picture of Sully. We are not supposed to have favorite horses, but he is by far my favorite. He is basically a dog in a horse body, and he may look like a warrior horse, but he is super dopey and super sweet and just loves to cuddle, and I adore him. So that is Sully. I also thought it'd be fun to just walk you through some of the spaces at Leg Up Farm. Louie's vision was to really make it a space that is kid-friendly, family-friendly. They sat in enough sterile waiting rooms watching horrible TV with bad magazines, and they did not want that for the kids in their own life, let alone for the families they were meeting. So we try to have really colorful, inviting spaces. So these are our 2 waiting room areas. This is the entrance to our therapy center called Matthewstown. So as you look through, everything that is in here is meant to be really fun and functional. So even the mural is used in therapy. If you look at the floor, there's lily pads there that are in a hopscotch configuration. So you might have one person that's practicing balance and agility. You might have a speech therapist that comes in here and uses this as a giant I Spy. So maybe they are working on words that start with B. They're going to look for balloon. And as they look for balloon, they say balloon, balloon, and then they keep going. I love it because when our kids come through the door, our receptionist says, "Oh, who are you here to play with today?" And the kids almost always go, "I'm here to play with Miss Cindy." And they come running in excited. They have no idea. They really think they're coming to play with their friends. And it just makes everything so much more efficient. So you enter Matthewstown, and it has a similar feel to Junior Achievements BizTown, if you've ever been there, but it's a little different. So instead of ours being set up with very specific life skills based on the facade, each of these facades is actually packed inside with all kinds of games and toys and puzzles and things that can be utilized in therapy. So Could be a life skill. It could be that they go into the dress shop and are practicing buttons and zippers. And it's a lot more fun to do that as a firefighter, an astronaut, a princess than it is to do on a really boring activity board at a table in front of you. This is our fire truck, cause and effect for everything. All the things light up so they can actually dress up as a junior firefighter, pull the step out, step on the back of the fire truck and raise the ladder, raise the water level, turn the lights on and really feel like they're going to a call. This is a fun space. If you ever get to Leg Up Farm, don't leave without going inside. A lot of people think it's just a tree, but it's actually the secret room of Matthewstown. And if you go inside, it's in a whole new room with a mural and stairs. And so at a typical PT gym, anybody in the room have to rehab a knee, a hip, anything along those lines? Not super fun. You climb up 3 or 4 metal stairs. You climb down 3 or 4 metal stairs, right? You climb back up. Not fun for adults, definitely not fun for kids. So our kids come in, they go in the secret treehouse room, and there are toys strategically placed at the top of the stairs and at the bottom of the stairs. So they're going up and down and up and down. And again, they're just playing. They don't realize they're reaching their treatment goals. Couple photos of our various gyms where they do all kinds of obstacle courses and different things. The mirrors are super helpful. If any of you enjoy working out, you probably know when you learn a new exercise, it's helpful to see yourself doing that in a mirror so that it helps to click, make sure you're doing the right technique. The same is true for our kiddos. We've even had feeding sessions in there if that's what it takes for them for it to click, to see how their spoon moves from their tray to their mouth. We will do that. This is our pool. So people heard Leg Up Farm was getting a pool. They had something a little different. Imagine this is more of the size of an oversized hot tub. The floor deck actually raises and lowers. So it raises all the way to grade where it becomes one solid floor. The water completely dissipates. So you can walk right out onto it. You can roll out onto it in a PVC wheelchair. And then once the clinician and the child are where they need to be, there's a remote that gradually lowers the floor to the desired depth. And the floor in there that you see the little holes, that's actually a treadmill. So by the time you add the buoyancy of the water and the movement of the floor, kids that have never run or walked in their lives are able to start doing those movements in the pool. So they can do 1 week in the pool, the next week on land, and utilize all that muscle memory they're gaining from their pool exercises. This is Phoenix. This is our fake horse. He is what is called a riding for the disabled simulator. If any of you do know Louis, I love to share the story of how this happened because he came in my office. I call him my mini tornado. He spins around and says all kinds of amazing things. And you say, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he walks out and you realize, oh, crap, that was Louis's way of giving me all those tasks. And I just said yes to everything. This is one of those things. So he came in my office and was like, Jen, you know what we need? We need a mechanical horse. And in my very limited background in equestrian knowledge, I immediately went to my Penn State knowledge, which was a bar and a horse and mechanics. And I thought, this is a terrible idea. And I said, no, we don't need one of those. He goes, yeah, 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 we do. I go, no, we don't. And then he goes, come on over. I'm going to show you this video. And then, of course, I see it. I get it. This horse can actually walk, trot, canter. It moves around just like a real horse. It's connected to a TV. So it's kind of like the Peloton of horseback riding. And so for kids who really need repetition to gain a skill, or maybe it's really cold or really hot that day outside and their special need is kind of exasperated by that weather swing, they can still have their lessons at Leg Up Farm, but they have it on Phoenix instead in a very climate controlled room. He's the lucky horse. So this is our indoor riding arena. And of course, it's not fun to do Leg Up Farm without more horse pictures. This is our little guy, Buzz, hanging out at Gift Horse and also at the York Revs. He's a former carousel pony, so he is not afraid of much and enjoys being out in the community. He was actually at the spaghetti dinner for the police department this weekend at the fairgrounds. And then a couple photos of our exterior areas, which again, everything is meant to be fun and functional. So if we can do something outside, getting fresh air in our kiddos' lungs, we are going to do that. So we have a koi fish pond, playground, music garden, walking paths. Kids have learned to ride a bicycle here. Maybe they've been new to a walker or wheelchair and need to learn about different grades or inclines. They can do that through the macadam paths that walk around Leg Up Farm. So That is Leg Up Farm in a nutshell. I need to leave time for Dan. I hope I've done that. But the story behind Leg Up Farmers Market, as Brooke aged, Louie's vision for what was needed for kids and families with special needs also aged. And one of the things they really discovered was that a lot of kids are on specialized diets, non-GMO, all natural. And if you go to Giant, you go to Wise, there's typically one aisle where you can get those things. And it's really, really difficult. And so the idea was, could we create a resource for our families that also helps to fund Leg Up Farm? So has a 2-point purpose. So Dan is going to come up and tell you a little bit about that.
So as Jen suggested, she's got the horses, I've got the peanut butter. I'm actually not allowed to have horses in the store. I have to think about that. I really want them to visit, but they can't come inside. It's a real bummer. But I can honestly tell you, you will probably not find someone as excited to talk about a grocery store as I am. So obviously you learned the biggest part of what makes us special, the fact that our store supports Leg Up Farm. There is no other grocery store in the country that exists to support a therapy center for children with special needs. And you all know what a grocery store is. I don't need to explain to you. I don't need to show you, our bakery, our produce department. You've been in a grocery store. I'm pretty confident in that. So instead, I'm going to focus on some of the other things that also make us special, some of the other unique things that we do that I think are pretty cool on top of supporting Leg Up Farm. One of those things that is my personal favorite is we get to support local farmers right here in York, Pennsylvania. My favorite farm family that we support the most is Mad Radish Farm. So that is Brittany and Michael and their children. They moved down here to start organic farming about 4 years ago. And maybe some of you will know, it's really hard to run a farm, and it's even harder to run a farm that you're going to grow organically. So they worked with us. We started collaborating with them about a year after they got here and started getting set up. And last year at our annual meeting with them, where I sit down and I want to understand what we can do better, how can we support them better, Brittany shared with me that they were thinking about not farming anymore, that the cost was just outpacing what they could keep up with, and enough CSA shares and enough produce and everything. And so I was like, let me think about this. Let me think how we can support you. And after thinking about it for a little bit, we ended up hosting a fundraiser for them. The situation they were in is they needed specific equipment to farm more efficiently, to be able to sell the product they needed to make the money to buy the equipment to farm more efficiently. You can see how that's impossible, right? So we stepped in, I should say our customers stepped in, and we raised $10,000 for this farm that we get to give straight to them so that they could buy several different things, including a tractor. I wish I had time to show you the video, but they use a tractor from 1950s until they were able to use this fundraising to get a new tractor. I watched this man hand crank the tractor, and I was like, we're going to do something to help you. Like, I can't have you do it that. And one of the most meaningful things that was ever said to me was Brittany, when she sent me a picture of them driving home with the tractor that fundraising got for them, is she said to me, it is largely, if not entirely, because of Leg Up that we have been able to pay our bills. And that really meant a lot to me. I really love supporting our farmers. On top of that, we also support a local food bank called Harvest of Blessing. So we've been giving them our extra food for years. And then we found out that they were essentially being kind of forced to leave the current location that they were in. And it is profoundly difficult for a nonprofit place designed to just feed those that are hungry in the city to have any kind of funding, let alone enough to pay rent for a location. So again, we stepped up. We were able to collaborate with a local chip company called Ugly's Chips, which we do sell. Very good chips. And they donated like 4 pallets of chips to us for totally free. And we sold them, and 100% of the proceeds got to then go to Harvest of Blessing. On top of that, every year we do a food collection for them. Between those two things, the last year we got to send them over $8,000, but about half cash and half food. And they are now at that new location that they found, and they are doing very well, feeding a ton of hungry people in York County. Another really fun thing we get to do, which I don't think a lot of grocery stores have the privilege to do, is we host really cool, fun community events. My personal favorite is our trick or treat event, which is actually coming up on October 25th, 2 to 5. If you have kids, it's a lot of fun. And the reason we started that is because of, again, our link to Leg Up Farm. We also think about, what about children who have special dietary needs? No child wants to be the kid that has to go to school after Halloween and all their friends are like, well, hey, what did you get? What'd you get going trick-or-treating? And it comes around to you and you're like, I can't go trick-or-treating because I can't eat normal candy. That feels awful. So we decided to host a trick or treat where all of the candy is all natural. The whole thing is free and it blew up. And we are at the point now, last year, we had 600 children come through our doors in 3 hours. That is the definition of chaos. We've gotten decent at starting where the chaos goes, but at some point then we're just like, whatever happens, happens, and they're having fun, We also have a variety of other events that we do. We had a Mother's Day craft fair for the first time this year, and that amazingly eclipsed the trick or treat event as now our biggest event that we host. And that is always going to be moving forward the first Saturday before Mother's Day. And then, of course, our mission is to bring real healthy food to York County while supporting our therapy center for children with special needs. So any food in our store that you see is not going to have artificial sweeteners, artificial flavors, artificial preservatives, artificial colors. We don't allow it. If you go to a lot of healthier grocery stores that love to put like organic on the side of the store, talk about how healthy they are, you look a little closer, you'll find a lot of them are perfectly happy to carry artificial stuff if it means it's going to sell for them. We don't compromise. Any food in our store is not going to have any of that artificial stuff in it. Our produce department is about 95% organic. Our local beef is 100% grass-fed, grass-finished. And all across our store, we also use healthy, natural ingredients. Even our salad bar, which we actually won Best of York for, which is wild to me for a salad bar. And all the veggies on our salad bar are organic as well. And in addition to that, we have a lot of specialty foods. So we are the place in York, in my opinion, for gluten-free, vegan, keto, paleo eaters. I just talked to a lady literally this morning at the store who was like, wow, I'm so glad I found this. I just moved here and I have to really watch my sugars because I'm diabetic and I didn't even know you existed because I just got here like a month ago. I'm like, awesome. I got to show her some keto options that let her enjoy a dessert without having to worry about spiking her sugar levels. And those things happen all the time. Like we love being that place. I myself have tons of food sensitivities, so I am grateful outside of working at the store just for us to exist, to have a good place to get food. One thing I like to share is something we don't get to do a ton of yet, but when we do, I think it's pretty awesome. We have different ways that we can collaborate with businesses. So we do catering, both big and small. We also have partnered up for some pretty interesting like employee appreciation programs, some client appreciation programs. The biggest one we've done is with York Hospital. 1 year for, I think it was nurse or health practitioners week. I can't remember the exact terminology. And we made 4,000 sandwiches. We fed a sandwich to every single person in York Hospital. It took a week. And before that, weeks of logistics to plan which department was going to get sandwiches what day. It was wild. We'd converted our produce prep room into a sandwich prep room just to be able to make that many sandwiches. But we love doing stuff, whether it's at the scale of feeding an entire hospital or a couple of gift baskets for someone's leadership team. We also love to partner up for employee wellness programs. And we have a really nice community room that can seat up to 50 people, perfect for offsite meetings, gets used a ton. It's seen everything, birthday parties, yoga, like anything you can imagine is probably happening there. We once had a running club that rented it. And I'm like, it's not that big. And they just, okay, whatever they want to do. And while I can talk about local and say the word local 100 times and show you pictures and try to communicate how cool the people are that we get to work with and sell their food, I think it made a lot more sense for you to be able to see one of them. And this is Brian from the Bearded Egg, one of our more recent folks. And we made a video together with him to help people understand what he does.
For being like, well, guess we're going back into the kitchen.
Did you expect the response that you got?
No, absolutely not. We are blown away every single day.
What got you started down this path?
So, I mean, I've been cooking in the chef industry for about 15 years. And a few years ago, I found out that I had ulcerative colitis. So it really kind of changed the way that I was trying to approach food. And everyone's like, hey, can you also make some for us too? And friends and family. And lo and behold, more friends and family asked for it. And we were like, we should probably turn this into a business. So here we are for a year and a half later.
Why sourdough?
It's just much healthier for your body. It's really, all of the breads on the shelf nowadays are going to have so many stabilizers, so many like preservatives. They're made with like commercial yeast, which is really heavy and harsh on you. And this is going to digest better. It's going to provide you with a lot more nutrients. And it's just honestly much more flavorful.
What makes your bread different? Why can't we keep it in stock?
Well, yeah, it's a couple of things. One, we really crazy about ingredients. To the point that we're bringing in like really high quality King Arthur flour that has never been brominated, never enriched. It doesn't have glyphosate. So it's a really clean and pure flour. I'm bringing in Sicilian sea salt from Sicily. Literally, I imported it in 40-pound bags.
What's your favorite thing to hear?
One of my favorite part of what we get to do is being out in public and someone walking up being like, hey, I had your bread at Leg Up. It's amazing. That's like the part I love. And I like, obviously we don't get to see our customers at Leg Up, but when we get to see them out in public, it's just so fun to hear.
If there's no egg in your product, what made you come up with the name Bearded Egg?
We have chickens. And if we thought it would be hilarious to like give out our chicken eggs with like beard hairs, literally hand drew the very first Bearded Egg logo. And then I also made a bunch of bitters. I love like making like cocktail bitters, and I put a bunch of those labels on my cocktail bitters I was giving away for Christmas presents and wrote Bearded Egg on it because I'm bald and bearded. So that's where the name and the image came from. And it stuck.
Who here wants to see Brian and his family succeed? Let's put our hands up, right? That guy was so awesome, and that's the short version. Like he's amazing. We have a longer video out there. We have dozens of people that we get to support, like Brian and his family at our store. So that's one of my favorite parts of the day-to-day of what we get to do. So if you love supporting local people, if you love eating healthy and you love shopping small, we would love to be your grocery store. Thank you. Oh, there it is. And now I'd be very happy to open it up for both Jen and myself for questions, if anyone has any.
Jen, this one's for you. How are the budget impasses impacting you?
That's a great question. Fortunately and unfortunately, Leg Up Farm is not supported very much with government dollars. Aside from the Medicaid rates that we receive, which we have already accounted for having to make up the difference, the bulk of our revenue actually comes from outside funding. So it's one thing that I'm really proud about is how diversified our funding is, whether it's an event, whether it's a sponsorship, a tax credit, an individual donor, grant writing. We've really found a way to blend that to meet our need. So fortunately for us, it hasn't been a huge impact, but that being said, a lot of my nonprofit friends, it is huge right now, and I really, really, really feel for them, and it's something we really need to pay attention to.
Can you guys, either one of you, describe a little bit more about the financial model between the two organizations and how that works?
I always describe it kind of like a Newman salad dressing, where there was an entity or a product that was created in order to support something else. And so that's how I look at like a farmer's market. It's, to me, a Newman salad dressing. And, you know, Dan and I have talked, and he can probably speak a little bit more to this, but as any new business, it takes a little while to get your feet underneath of you. And so Leg Up Farmers Market is really starting to hit its stride. And so while up to this point, we haven't been able to really profit off the margin or off the market yet. We are finally getting to that point. So I don't know if you want to share anything.
Sure, yeah. So early on, the first, I'm going to say 5 years were really rocky for the market. Unfortunately, we had someone at the helm who struggled in the independent world. And it,
Louis.
no, not Louis. Not Louis is amazing. Louis is amazing. Just be clear. And so it has taken longer than it should have to get us to the point where we're at now, where I can honestly say we're an awesome grocery store. And I'm flattered all the time. We get compliments on a regular basis now. 6 years ago was not like that. So I'm really glad we're at that place and we're actually moving forward with our main mission of being able to support Leg Up Farm.
I just want to thank you both for the presentation, but my question is, Jen, specifically for you. You are now leading this beautiful organization with this fabulous mission, making services more effective and efficient, especially for those families that are trying to seek services for youth. What is your expansion plans, if there are any, and where are you at in that process?
Sure. So locally, my expansion plan is not necessarily building. My expansion plan is long-term sustainability of our organization, just like any nonprofit may have. So in order to start Leg Up Farm, we did have mortgages taken out to build each sector of our building. I would love to get those paid off so that money that is, no offense, bankers, I know there's a lot of you out here. Money that is just going to a bank right now, I would love to be able to put back into programming. So growth in York County would look like adding more clinicians, because every time I add a clinician, I add a fundraising need. And adding different, even more unique services. I would love to see art therapy, music therapy, those types of things here. In terms of beyond York County, we did have land donated to us in Franklin County, in which we have completed the site work for the most part on that property and are looking to, we're doing the actual capital campaign for that now as well. I will say, I don't know that I see us replicating beyond Franklin County. It's just too hard of a payment model to sustain. But I want to make sure that we're here for the long term for kids in both communities.
Quick question. What are you doing with the federal government and the state government for funding after the kids turn 16?
So services actually go to 21. And one of the things that came out of Louie's journey with Brooke was recognizing that Once that magic age hits, it's amazing. The calendar turns and all of a sudden you're on your own. It's a whole new set of challenges. And so one of the other things that actually exists at the same property that Leg Up Farmers Market has is a program called Able Services. So if you've ever been at Leg Up Farmers Market and you look at the building behind it, it was Shiloh Nurseries for a while, a subset of Browns. There's a greenhouse attached to that. That is an adult day program for adults with special needs. So that program services about 50 adults every single day, providing them with unique, productive, inspiring activities in order to lead their best lives.
Wow. Thank you, Jen and Dan, for sharing the incredible story of Leg Up Farm and Leg Up Farmers Market. Been heavily involved and somehow involved with your organization over the years, but certainly learned some new things today. And if you haven't had an opportunity to go to Leg Up Farmers Market, definitely go. It's inspiring to hear how your work is not only transforming the lives of the children and families, but also strengthens our broader community by supporting local farmers and artisans. I had no idea that you guys did that for them. Your dedication to creating opportunities for growth, healing, and connection truly embodies the Rotary spirit of service above self, and we're grateful for all that you do and for taking the time to share your mission with us today. As you know, our speakers will sign a book plate and a book to be donated to York Catholic High School, along with a bookmark made by students at Creative York. So today it's The Alchemist. And next week, we will hear from Downtown Inc. Director Sarah O'Brien. She will share an inside look at how economic development and small business support are shaping the future of downtown York. The presentation will highlight the organization's role in fostering business growth, attracting investment, and creating a vibrant downtown community. She will be joined by local entrepreneur Delia Pabon, who will share her perspective, both as a multi-business owner and a key collaborator in developing the new Downtown Business Guide. Together, their stories will illustrate how strategic support and community leadership are driving York's continued revitalization. With that, this meeting is adjourned.